You gotta wait for your coach to be begging you to fight.
Yeah.
You don't want it to be the opposite way because it makes you look bad.
What's up? Welcome to Fight City Gym Talk. You are here with Jorge Bustamante. Say it.
Jorge Bustamante.
And Eric Wallin. So the reason I brought Jorge in today is because he has gone 12-0 in amateur USA boxing. So this isn't a belt he won in any tournament. I was just so proud of him that I was like, dude, he needs a belt for that. 12-0, that's impressive. So Jorge, there you go.
Thank you.
So what I want to ask Jorge, what makes you so different? What do you do differently than everybody else? Because the thing is, we have a lot of really good boxers here, but not everybody gets to go 12-0. So what have you done to make sure that you can just win fight after fight after fight?
I just stayed consistent, man. I listened to my coach, did what he told me to do,
Right.
and whatever he told me to change up in my fights.
He says,
I
coach,
did it.
you hear me talk about Tim Carroll a lot. So Tim has been the one that's supposed to be coaching Jorge here.
Best coach in Utah in boxing. can I
Tim
say?
Carroll. So awesome.
Yeah.
So you're listening to what Tim says. What's your workout regimen like?
So, a two to three, I have an hour private with Tim, just mids, working on what we need to do better for our fights, studying guys.
Right.
And then 4 to 5, 1 hour of sparring. 5 to 6, I do the class, which is 11 stations of different workouts, bag workouts,
Right.
regular workouts, mids. And then after that, I go home, relax a little bit, go to the gym, and I run 3.50 to 4 miles.
Wow.
Then push-ups, squats, lunges, pull-ups, just anything that's good
Right.
for boxing.
So the thing is, and that was just real quick what he's doing, which is how often do you do that? How many days a week?
So Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm here
Yeah.
from 2 to 6. And then I go to the gym Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Got it. And here's the thing. I invite him to come to our MMA class because the first few rounds of MMA, I have the guys put boxing gloves on and just box for a few rounds before MMA gets going. And so Jorge stays with them sometimes and boxes with them. And you were dancing circles around these guys.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I don't think, really put their trust and their faith in running and jump rope, stuff like that. But it shows with you. Like when I was watching Jorge in MMA yesterday, our MMA guys who are naturally a little bit slower than boxers when it comes to boxing, their movements aren't as slick, their combos aren't as fast. And that's why I have my MMA guys do the boxing, is because it produces fighters like Jorge. And when we were doing just boxing, you were obviously a step ahead of the rest of them. But you're a pure boxer fighting MMA guys, and he looked amazing beating these guys up. But it's not just my MMA guys, you're beating up everybody. How many tournaments have you fought in?
One, and I won it.
Well, didn't you fight in Golden Gloves, or was that not a tournament?
No, I couldn't. I didn't have enough fights at the time. I
Got
only
it.
had 5.
Okay, so you just did the one fight in Golden Gloves, even though it wasn't in the actual Golden Glove
Yeah,
tournament.
it was just the undercard.
So what was the tournament you just got back from? It was out in
Colorado.
Colorado. And what was that tournament called?
It was a Colorado State Championship tournament, which I fought both days, and I won. So I'm the Colorado State champion as well.
Fantastic. So here's the thing. I ran some odd numbers real quick. I looked up. Now, I'm not a mathematician. I could be wrong on this. But what are the odds of going 12-0 on a coin toss? So if you just flip a coin, heads and tails, and say you go heads 12 times in a row, what are the odds of that? Any idea?
50-50.
No, I'm saying 12 in a row.
So, oof.
So the
that's
first
a
one's
small odds.
50-50,
Yeah.
right? First one's 50-50. But how many times did you have to do this until you went 12-0 on
Probably
a
a
coin
lot.
toss? The number is 4,096.
Jeez.
If you were to coin toss 4,096 times, one of those sessions of coin toss, you would probably get all the way to 12-0. Statistically speaking, just some things I looked up.
Yeah.
The reason I bring that up is because fighting is kind of like that, right? It's not always just 50-50, but once you shake it up, it's like sometimes you're going against guys that are good, sometimes you're going against guys that aren't good. But what you've done is you've always made sure that the coin falls in your favor.
Yeah.
Makes sense. And the other thing is it is different than a coin toss, because a coin toss, you flip it, you can't control the results. But the only way you control the results in fighting is you have to outwork guys.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing, is you're You're putting in that road work. You're also here in the boxing classes, the sparring classes, the boxing classes, staying later to do the boxing with the MMA guys. And how long did you say you've been boxing now?
In total, about 3 years.
3 years in total.
Yeah.
And so that's the other thing. A lot of guys rush in and they want to fight immediately and they rack up a bunch of losses.
Yeah.
Good thing about amateurs is it's not a big deal. Like, you don't have to be an undefeated amateur to be a good pro,
Yeah.
but like, we all want to win.
Yeah.
How old are you again?
19.
19. And so at the age of 16, I guess you got started?
Yeah. I
About
was just hitting the bag at home.
Right.
And during COVID, especially, just my dad bought me a bag and I was hitting it. And I was like, I need some real training.
Right.
That's when I found you guys, and that's
Nice.
the best decision.
So here we have Jorge, who's been training a lot from a young age, but then really pulled the trigger. How long ago was your first fight?
Last June.
So pulled the trigger almost a year ago and started fighting.
I'm already 12 fights in a year.
Yeah. So, I mean, on average, 1 fight a month, but
Yep.
It's been kind of on and off. Sometimes we might be a month or two off, but then you go to a tournament and you pick up a few fights in one day, or in 2 days, I guess it would be.
Especially like right now with being an open league, it's getting harder to find guys. Because now it's like you have to fight guys that are your range level. Now, when you
Yes.
have 10 fights and below, you can fight whoever.
Yeah.
Guys with 1 fight, 5 fights, 10
Yeah.
fights. Now it's like you have to fight guys your caliber.
Right.
And it's getting harder. But in a way, it's also a blessing because now I'm not fighting scrubs. I'm just fighting
Right.
guys like me that want it. Like,
Elevate your level.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so the odds of continuing the win streak is going to, of course, go down.
Yeah.
But once again, it's not like a coin toss. We can control the outcome by doing things like training hard, smart, effective, efficient. So that's awesome, Jorge. Congratulations on this. Is there anything else what would you tell a young boxer, like just anybody, not necessarily here in Utah, but just any young boxer that wants to start boxing?
I would tell them to not go all the way right away. Take your time. Like a lot of guys go up to Tim and like, I want to fight, and they're only been a month or two in. You got to wait for your coach to be begging you to fight.
Yeah.
You don't want it to be the opposite way because it makes you look bad. And fight once a month, twice a month, once every month, or fighting once every 2 months is good. You don't want to have so many fights all the time.
Yeah.
You need also time to recover. And that's what I didn't know at the beginning. So I'd be injured, but I'd still be training.
And you mentioned earlier consistency.
Yeah.
So like a lot of guys I see do this. They'll fight in every show, but then they get burned out.
Yep.
They don't want to fight anymore. And so to me, one way of being consistent would be like, you don't need to fight in every show, but if you fought 3 months ago, maybe we start looking to fight again.
Yep.
If you fought a month ago, maybe we start looking to put your name in another fight a month or two out. So, I mean, you got 12 in a year, so you're obviously fighting a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, he prepped himself properly before his first fight. And I think that's a big takeaway, kind of what you're saying, is make sure that you're prepped properly and you understand basic skill sets.
Yeah.
So many guys come to me, and also Tim, our boxing coach, and I'm more over the MMA stuff, but like they come in, it's like they don't know anything and they want to just fight.
Yeah.
Right? They for some reason feel like they've got what it takes. I really like what you said earlier. Do you want your coach to ask you to fight, or do you want to ask me to fight, or ask the coach to fight? And really what I'm getting is when fighters are begging, please let me fight, please let me fight, please let me fight, a lot of times coaches are basically saying like, I'm not seeing enough. Like the coaches know what the level is, what the competition is like. And if you're not up to that level, if you're not ready for that competition, coaches aren't excited to see a fight. But on the flip side, if a coach is begging you to fight, it's because the coach knows the level, they know the competition that's out there, and they know you're probably going to pick up wins.
Yeah.
Now, I got to be honest real quick. Did you know your first fight, I didn't think you were ready?
Really?
No,
I didn't
didn't think Jorge was ready.
I was very flat-footed, very arm punches only.
And it didn't matter if you were ready or not. It was just your first fight. Who cares? But I remember Tim telling me that Jorge was going to be in this show. And who else was in that show? I want to say Mouse was in that show.
Mouse, Julio, me.
And I felt like Mouse and Julio.
Christian as well.
And Christian, I think they were showing me a little bit more. And I felt like they were just a step or two better than you.
Oh, yeah, they definitely were. They were kicking my ass in sparring.
But the thing is, we talked about consistency,
Yeah.
right? Christian isn't boxing as much. He's still kind of in it, but he's not as consistently driven as you are.
Yeah.
And then Julio moved. Where did Julio move to?
I like to Ohio.
Ohio or something. So hopefully, Julio, if you're watching, hopefully you're still training,
We
racking
miss
up
you.
wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, we miss you as well. And then Mouse has kind of taken some breaks with us as well. So your consistency has really paid off. A lot of guys don't be this guy, but a lot of guys do this. They'll do 3 fights in 3 months and they're training like crazy. And then it's just so much for them. It's time consuming, it's exhausting. And then they'll take a 6-month break.
Yeah.
And then they'll come back and they're really not any better than when they left. But if they just kind of spread their fights out and stayed more consistent, one fight every few months, and really it's all up to you and your coach, right? You kind of got to ask yourself, like, do we want to fight once a month? Do we want to fight in every other show? Do we want to fight in every show? I mean, you kind of have to make that decision between you and your coach, how often it is you want to fight.
And also something like a lot of guys lose and all their motivation just drops. I feel like
Yeah.
a perfect example of someone that's lost and kept coming back and just being better and better is Corbin.
Yeah,
Like,
Corbin's awesome.
He lost a few in a row. That never stopped his motivation. He still saw the
Just
goal up top. And
push
there's some
right through it.
guys that lose one, they're gone for a year, they're gone for
Yeah.
a few months. Like, you don't want to be that guy. Like Eric said, it's amateurs. It sucks losing, but it's still an amateur fight. Even if
Right.
you lose, it shouldn't make you get more hungry, make you want to come back and kick some more.
We're taking advice about losing from the guy
Yeah, true. I've never lost, but
from the guy that's never lost. But no, he's got a real point there. It really just boils back to that. Like, just brush it off. When I see fighters at the highest level, some fighters take a loss and it's like they disappear for a year or two.
Yeah.
And other fighters take a loss and they're in the next show.
Yeah.
And I think I just did an episode on losing the other day. So if you didn't watch that, it's right here. I'll leave a link in the description. Go to that episode if you want to learn more about like how to let losses just come and go and roll off your shoulders. But it's part of the game. And that's why, if you look what I did here, I wrote it in 12. And every time he gets a win, I'm just going to add one more. And hopefully we never have to hang it up and say that's the win streak right there. You just keep going undefeated forever. But if not, we take the loss, we move on,
Come
and
back
we
stronger.
continue to win.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to tell the audience here?
No, I'm just thank you to you, your gym, Tim, the best boxing coach, and shout out all my guys, Mouse, Corbin, Connor, for beating my sparring and making me the guy I am now.
And then for all the guys on our team, anybody here at Fight City that goes 10-0, we're talking jiu-jitsu guys, Muay Thai guys, boxers, MMA guys. Anybody go 10-0, let me know where your record's at, and I'll get you one of these belts as well. Anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon.